Good evening and welcome. I'm Teddy, and you are listening to Night Talk. So go ahead, have a glass of wine or whatever you'd like, and join me for a few moments. This song is called Heaven Sent. I don't know if I've ever played it before, but when I listened to this track tonight, it was just so nice. My head is relaxing. It's soothing. That's what it is. All right. So, did any of you get a chance to listen or watch the House Subcommittee this afternoon? It was the delivering of government efficiency. They held their first hearing. It was led by or chaired by Marjorie Taylor Greene. I'm going to let you hear a little bit of it. But in today's oversight or House Oversight Subcommittee, let's turn the music right now. I'm just enjoying the music a little too much. We can turn it all the way over so you can hear me. Let me know that the sound is okay. And shout out to my moderators and all of you. Because of the time, I'm just going to get into it. How's the sound tonight? Also, you can email me at unwinewithteddy@gmail.com. Sound is good? Great. Alright, so before I play any of this, let me just give you a little synopsis here. So today, the House Oversight Committee's subcommittee on delivering government efficiency, DOGE, was chaired by Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, convened its inaugural hearing. It was titled The War on Waste, Stamping Out the Scourge of Improper Payments and Fraud. The session focused on addressing government inefficiencies and the prevalence of improper payments and fraud within the federal agencies. Some of the key points from the hearing in her opening remarks, Chairwoman Greene emphasized the urgency of tackling the national debt, which has reached, listen, $36 trillion. $36 trillion. And she went on to highlight the federal government's fraud rate of approximately 20% and contrasted it with the private sector's rate of around 3%. So, if the federal government would follow the methods, how it's done in the private sector. Maybe there wouldn't be so much waste and fraud because in the private sector, businesses couldn't survive. They would close if they mimic how the government, or if they ran their businesses like the government is run. Green also underscored the subcommittee's commitment to collaborating with President Trump and Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency. There were some partisan exchanges, and some of them were pretty sharp. Uh, Notably, Representative Robert Garcia, who presented, I saw him, he held up this large photo of Elon Musk and referenced a previous incident where Green displayed explicit images during a 2023 hearing. It was seen as an act to critique of Musk's influence in government and the administration's downsizing effort. By the way, let me just see something. So the court backed Trump on buyouts. A federal judge in Boston is allowing the Trump administration to move forward with its federal worker buyout program. So another big win for the administration that has struggled to successfully defend its policies in court. I just wanted to tell you that real quick. But back to this hearing. Representative Jasmine Crockett made some remarks. We've talked about her before. She's from Texas, Congresswoman, and she's getting quite a name for herself, or making quite a name for herself, and her criticism in the way that she goes about it. She's a lawyer. She's very bright and causes quite a bit of a, let's just say, fireworks between her and Marjorie Taylor Greene. That's really how it began some months and months ago. But anyway, today, Jasmine Crockett, she delivered a pointed critique and expressed concerns over Elon Musk's role in the administration. She implied that Musk, as an unelected bureaucrat, was exerting significant influence over government operations, particularly in the Oval Office. And her remarks highlighted apprehensions about consolidation of power and potential erosion of the democratic process. In one of her statements that she made, you'll hear it. She definitely threw some shade at Green. All right. So let me see if I can start. Well, let me just put it just a little bit. Marjorie Taylor, when she swears in the various ones who came before the subcommittee to give testimony and expert opinions, I guess you could say, from industry. So here are some of those. Some of the key witnesses, there was a Dawn Royal. She's the director, United Council on Welfare Fraud. So she gave a critique of bureaucratic transparency. She emphasized that career bureaucrats often downplay systematic issues or systemic to protect political interests. She highlighted the discrepancy between reported fraud rates in programs like SNAP and the minimal budget allocated for fraud prevention. So again, folks who could contribute, I think, in a way that would certainly support Doge and what Elon Musk and his team, that's what they say, his team are at. So let me just try to pull it to you. Let's do this. Just when Marjorie Taylor swears them.
And rightfully so. I'm pleased to welcome today's expert panel of witnesses who each bring unique experience and expertise that will be valuable to today's discussion. I'd first like to welcome Mr. Haywood Talcove, the Chief Executive Officer for Government at LexisNexis Risk Solutions, Inc. His commitment to customers' needs allows LexisNexis to develop market-leading solutions that have enabled customers to stop fraud, waste, and abuse. Next, we have Mr. Stuart Whitson, the Senior Director of Federal Affairs at the Foundation of Government Accountability. Stuart was previously a special agent in the FBI, a U.S. Army veteran, and now spends his time at FGA advocating to improve welfare, the workforce, and other policy. Next, we have Ms. Dawn Royal, a certified welfare fraud investigator in the state of Wyoming and director for the United Council of Welfare Fraud. She advocates for investigating and preventing fraud of government benefits and has done so over the past 16 years. Finally, we have Mr. Dylan Hetler-Goddett, the Director of Government Affairs at the Project on Government Oversight. Dylan leads advocacy efforts and policy reforms to a wide range of good governance. I thank each of our witnesses for being here today, and I look forward to your testimony. Pursuant to Committee Rule 9G, the witnesses will please stand and raise their right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Let the record show that the witnesses answered in the affirmative. Thank you. You may take a seat. We appreciate you being here today and look forward to your testimony. Let me remind the witnesses that we have read your written statement and it will appear in full in the hearing record. Please limit your oral statement to 5 minutes. As a reminder, please press the button on the microphone in front of you so that it is on and the members can hear you. When you begin to speak, the light in front of you will turn green. After 4 minutes, the light will turn yellow. When the red light comes on, your 5 minutes have expired, and we would ask that you please wrap up. I now recognize Mr. Talcove for his opening statement.
All right, so I want you to listen to this first one, and where he points out some of the waste, fraud, and abuse. Take a listen.
Chairwoman Green, Ranking Member Stansberry, and distinguished members of the committee. For over a decade, a silent war has been waged against American taxpayers, not with bombs or guns, but with data and technology. Outdated government systems permit criminals to access unlimited sums of money. During the pandemic, they stole $1 trillion. 70% of those dollars went overseas. Shockingly, it's just not criminals exploiting the system, it's the flawed system itself acting as the accomplice. If left unchecked, the US government will continue to lead the world in funding cyber criminals. This is a data and technology problem, and it demands a data-driven response. Criminal syndicates have turned benefit programs into their personal ATM machines, exploiting those in need who wait months for benefits that may never come. These ruthless crooks use our money to fund child trafficking, disperse drugs in our communities, and terrorism. For years, criminal networks have stolen personal information from the public and private sector. They exploit real identities to manipulate antiquated government systems, siphoning off billions in taxpayers' hard-earned money. We continue to pay benefits to deceased and incarcerated individuals, direct money to bad actors flagged on the do not pay list, and overlook duplicate Social Security numbers by not following best practices.
So these criminals who are exploiting the U.S., the system that is so antiquated, and they know it, are funneling millions and millions of dollars. Government, tax dollars, what we pay to overseas. And listen how they're doing it.
During the pandemic, a simple cross-check of PPP loan recipients against IRS records would have exposed massive fraud and prevented payments to transnational criminals who sold their quote-unquote sauce on the dark web. To stop this, we must reclaim control of our systems, not just from the criminal syndicates, but the flawed systems enabling them. Smarter technology, data, and identity verification are not optional. They are necessities to protect taxpayers and ensure aid reaches those who truly need it. Now, the use of AI is fundamentally changing society, but in the hands of criminals, it has become a weapon. Lawbreakers are now using it to supercharge their war on taxpayers. They use AI to create fake identity documents that pass biometric verifications. Bots flood portals with thousands of fraudulent claims per second, and deep fakes that mimic real applicants bypass the outdated NIST 863 standards from 2017. Honest and deserving people seeking access to government benefits suffer through endless application forms that are nearly impossible to navigate. But criminals from Russia, China, and Romania gain access with ease. The private sector has fraud rates below 3%. Meanwhile, the public sector operates at a 20% fraud rate. The solution is clear. It's already used every day to protect consumers. You seamlessly interact with your bank through an app that verifies your identity in milliseconds. There's no excuse for the government to lag if we do the following.
So they have access with ease. With ease to these records, with ease to siphoning off money. It's no wonder the U.S. has such a deficit.
Number one, implement identity verification on the front end. Criminals should never receive a dime. Eliminate self-certification.
I agree. Identity from the beginning. They shouldn't receive a dime without identifying.
No more honor system for billion-dollar programs, and continuous auditing. Keep verifying because criminals never stop adapting.
Never.
Pay and chase does not work. Of the $250 billion stolen in pandemic unemployment fraud, less than $5 billion has been recovered. The idea in
Did you hear that? Less than 5% has been recovered with the pandemic fraud that went on.
government that you cannot have speed and security is fiction. I urge Congress to consider making the following legislative changes. Number one, update the 1974 Privacy Act to allow for data sharing and matching. Number two, fund a budget for fraud prevention in each appropriation bill. The USDA spends 1/20th of 1% on fraud prevention. Mandate that individuals caught stealing from entitlement programs pay hefty fines and are removed from the program permanently. And finally, eliminate broad-based categorical eligibility.
So if these criminals knew that there were hefty fines, maybe that would deter them as well. Now, we'll just kind of skip through. I just wanted to hit some highlights here. This Miss Royal, who is Medicaid fraud, she talks about how she did an examination on an individual and what she found. Let's see.
Ranking Member Stansberry, and committee members. My name is Dawn Royal. I'm a certified welfare fraud investigator, two-term past president, and a current director of the United Council on Welfare Fraud. The United Council on Welfare Fraud is a national professional organization dedicated to protecting the integrity in our nation's public assistance programs. We are the only national organization singularly focused on the detection, prevention, and prosecution of welfare fraud. For too long, agency bureaucrats have pitted citizens' access to welfare programs against the integrity of those programs. Access versus integrity should never be an either-or dichotomy. We can all agree that access to public assistance is crucial. America's citizens should not be hungry or deprived of medical care because of their inability to pay.
So it is crucial. It should be available to those. But listen to some that she describes that benefited from the system.
However, making sure vulnerable citizens have access to these welfare programs should not mean that we simply turn a blind eye to integrity. We do not pursue the prevention, detection, and prosecution of if we do not pursue the prevention, detection, and prosecution of fraud, taxpayers become the victims as the welfare programs become slush funds for anyone wanting to supplement their income with SNAP benefits, absolve themselves from the financial responsibility of medical bills, and using Medicaid to further taxpayer exploitation by taking advantage of cash assistance, energy assistance, childcare, and other social welfare programs. One example of a welfare fraud is a case that I investigated that was criminally prosecuted last year. The applicant mother failed to disclose her children's father as well as his employment and income on multiple applications she submitted for Medicaid, SNAP, and low-income energy assistance. The co-defendant
Multiple applications.
father worked a steady job, earning a six-figure salary, and provided an enviable lifestyle for his family, including vacations, luxury vehicles, snowmobiles, motorhomes, lavish gifts, including one from the wife to the husband, which was a $1,200 bottle of bourbon.
You see how that money was spent? And her husband, the child's father, six-figure income. She failed to report it on multiple applications. Lavish trips, vehicles, motorhomes, etc.
Evidence we presented at trial included a candidate registration forms filed by the defendant father when he ran for town council and later mayor of the town where he declared he lived at the same address provided by his wife on her public assistance programs. This was a case of greed, but it emphasizes how easy it was for these criminals to make false statements on applications in order to receive benefits from multiple programs that they were never eligible for. I could spend the rest of my day providing countless examples of how taxpayer-funded programs are exploited, and the message would be the same.
That's because there's no checks and balances, follow-up technology. It's a free-for-all. And those criminals that know how to penetrate the system keep getting away with it. That's why, at least in part, it's important that that this is going on there. I'm, I'm I'm trying to be careful, what I say about it, without knowing all of the facts and, how Doge and Elon Musk are going about it. But the truth of the matter is, they are coming up with results that indicate there have been fraud and waste and abuse of, I'll just say, taxpayers' money. Now, let me just see if I can move to Jasmine Crockett, who, by the way, she didn't stay for the entire committee hearing. She made her points and then she left. As a matter of fact, during this one portion where they're given the opportunity, each of the subcommittee members to ask questions, listen to what she had to say and tell me what you think.
Mr. Talcove, I'm just going to go ahead and pick up where you left off really quickly. Just to be clear, the upgrades that you're talking about as it relates to our data processes, these aren't things that would be free, are they? They would cost some kind of money. Not looking for a number, but they will cost, correct?
Some are free and some would cost money.
Okay. All right. So I just want to leave it there because we've had a number of these hearings. So I do want to be clear, before the Trump administration came in, this committee did exist in the form of the Oversight Committee, and our task is to root out waste, fraud, and abuse. In that vein, we had a number of hearings, at least last term. I can't speak for any other term as I'm only in my sophomore term. And we dealt with improper payments. And interestingly enough, our chairwoman, who is so passionate about this today, she missed every single one of those improper payment hearings. But just to be clear,
was that shade or what? Did she get that in? Basically referencing that Marjorie Taylor Greene missed every one of those previous meetings, but she's the chair now. Did you pick that up? Oh.
Mr. Talcove, I'm just going to go ahead and pick up where you left off really quickly. Just to be clear, the upgrades that you're talking about as it relates to our data processes, these aren't things that would be free, are they? They would cost some kind of money. Not looking for a number, but they will cost, correct?
Some are free and some would cost money.
Okay. All right. So I just want to leave it there because we've had a number of these hearings. So I do want to be clear, before the Trump administration came in, this committee did exist in the form of the Oversight Committee, and our task is to root out waste, fraud, and abuse. In that vein, we had a number of hearings, at least last term. I can't speak for any other term as I'm only in my sophomore term. And we dealt with improper payments. And interestingly enough, our chairwoman, who is so passionate about this today, she missed every single one of those improper payment hearings. But just to be clear, I was there. So I don't want anyone to believe that Democrats just come to work and don't plan to do work. In fact, I'm trying to figure out exactly what it is that the Republicans believe our job is, because right now they have relinquished their constitutional duties over to an unelected bureaucrat, someone who no one went out to vote for. And absolutely, he is occupying the Oval Office, as we saw yesterday. And that is a first for me, to see someone occupying the Oval Office who's never actually been elected to the Oval Office and actually answering more questions than the person that allegedly got elected. But for whatever reason, this is the first time we're having a Doge subcommittee hearing, and that guy's not here. Instead, we have y'all. So I do want to thank you for coming. But I will say this, it's also interesting to me that in the first few days of Doge existing, we know that they are trying to get rid of the Department of Education, USAID, Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. They're laying off FAA workers. They are going after the FDA, the CDC, the HHS, the FBI agents, and they're talking about getting rid of FEMA. And they brought y'all in. And I am going to say that I actually was shocked that there was only one person that seemed like he was an overt Trumper as you laid out your opening remarks, because I anticipated that at least one of y'all would say, yes, what Elon is doing is exactly what we would prescribe. But instead,
That's Jasmine Crockett. That's Jasmine Crockett speaking. This is from Forbes Breaking News.
I will applaud you because you actually were focused. You talked about what the American people are looking for us to do. We've actually consistently on this side of the aisle promoted this idea of making investments into technology so that we can do things such as
So hang on. So I can bring it back over to the other screen. Hold on. Because sometimes it will lag if I put it on the other screen there. Let's get that. There we go.
they look at the Department of Defense. The Department of Defense that takes up approximately 50% of our discretionary income or our discretionary spending. Approximately 50%
Yes.
goes to Department of Defense. Department of Defense has not been able to pass an audit in the last 6 audits, and we're
Yes, she's talking about Elon Musk. She's not asking any questions during her 5 minutes.
not talking about
She's
pennies.
making
I understand that we want everything to be perfect, and if we could get all waste, fraud, and abuse out, that would be fantastic. But let me talk about the big numbers. The big numbers are on that side. When we look at, say, our entire workforce, our federal workforce, as we're trying to somehow fire all of them, they don't even make up a total of 5%. It's even less than that when we look at our budget. But let's talk about defense. That just happens to be the same side of the ledger that Mr. Musk gets the vast majority of his money from. In fact, at the same time that they were unlawfully, and we will stay in court, because on this side, we believe in law and order. We believe in, a number of us are actually lawyers, but nevertheless,
Shay,
we understand
she takes
in the Constitution. We believe in that as well. And so there's things such as, impoundment, right? Because as Mr. Whitson said, he said, we need to return the power of the purse to Congress. It never left. According to the Constitution, that's where it's at. Now, I know that people are confused right now because for whatever reason, we had a guy that went in, and you talk about people invading our data. Listen, people said that they were upset about TikTok, but I'm upset about the guy that runs Twitter, who for sure
Right.
is doing nefarious things, because I don't understand, if you are trying to conduct audits and figure out where the waste, fraud, and abuse is, I don't know why you would go to some tech guy. In fact, it was only techies that were sitting there at inauguration. We didn't have auditors. I would welcome auditors to come in and do forensic audits. In fact, he sat there in the Oval Office yesterday and he admitted that he was lying, and he was using his propaganda machine to do it when he said that we sent millions of dollars to Gaza for condoms. That was a lie. So let me tell you something.
The
We were duly
gentlelady's time
elected,
has
and it
expired.
is time for
The
us to do
gentlelady's
our
time has
jobs
expired.
and rein in this rogue actor
The
known as
gentlelady's
Elon
time
Musk.
has expired. I now recognize the gentleman from Missouri, Mr. Burleson.
So she had an opportunity right there. She could have asked, well, she made her point, sounded off, and then not too long after left. Um, let's see what this next one had to say. Oh, this was one of the House Subcommittee members. I believe he was going to ask a question.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to speak frankly at first to the American people. We're nearing $37 trillion in national debt. What does that mean? That means that each and every U.S. taxpayer owes over $323,000. Okay? What does that mean? That means when the EPIC, which is the Economic Policy Innovation Center, says we have 18 trillion left. That's it. 18 trillion left to take out. And we're spending $2 trillion in debt every year. Folks, we're at the precipice of a debt, like a debt cycle. We are literally at a point in which the dollar will be worth nothing. What does that mean? And we know Social Security goes bankrupt in 8 years, right?
Wow.
Medicare goes bankrupt in 10 years. And then 15 years from now, the dollar is completely devalued and worth nothing. So what does that mean? That means your pension, the money in your bank, your savings is nothing. It's worthless. So what are we doing? We're trying to save this country. We're trying to save your pensions. We're trying to save your bank accounts. We're trying to save this country for the next generation. And it would be nice if we had help. But instead, we have people that are fighting us on this. And I think that I would hate to be in the Democratic Party right now because you're in a really bad bind. You're having to defend all of this crazy spending, all of this crazy waste. So how do you do it? You do ad hominem attacks. You attack the messenger. Oh, Elon Musk, right? He's rich. He must be evil, right? That's the attacks. Really, you can't do any better than that, right? Let's talk on the policy. Help us. We're trying to save this country. This is and Elon Musk, who's making no money doing this, is trying to save this country. Why? Because he has invested in the United States of America more than anybody, right? So I think that we should embrace it. In fact, not a single company, governor of any state would ever turn down Elon Musk and his team of Doge from coming in and providing free services to right the course and financially in any state or organization.
That's probably true. If you are a business person, you own a business, and you hire a consultant, it's going to cost thousands upon thousands of dollars. And someone offers to come in and examine and find the fraud and the waste and help to identify it. And they're not going to charge you anything for it. And you knew that. Would you turn it down if they could start showing results right away? Which company, which organization would want to save money? But it's different because it's the federal government. We're taxpayers, and they work for us. So it is important to ask questions of Elon Musk or anyone else. Those questions are fair when asked. Anyway, there's a lot going on. Just wanted to let you hear a little bit of that. 16. as you know, and we're supposed to get a lot of snow. I don't know where you are, but they are predicting overnight and into Thursday somewhere around 8 inches. I've heard a lot of different numbers. But I'm comfortable. Made sure that I had plenty of gas and groceries and all of that taken care of. So I'm not missing today among other things that I used to. Something like that. Do it for me. Although I was almost, let's see. Let's, oh, yeah. I was going to play the first 10 minutes, well, almost 10 minutes, less than, of when this was from March 13, 2023, when I first introduced that story, Love Triangle, Murder in Lake Charles. The tapes, the video, the recording doesn't lie. I read and told this story from the police reports. I didn't make anything up, although it was said that I never read from the police report. I look back at that during that time, there were so many things that were said and a false narrative spun so that it would make people think that I was not trying to deliberately provide false information. It wasn't true. And you would hear it right from the beginning when I first introduced this story. Now, I happen to be going through some of my old videos, kind of categorizing them and deciding what I would re-release. So definitely Baby Juju. Yeah, deflection. What was this? Maybe. So private. Yeah. I have more than 1,500 videos, maybe close to over the years, over since 2020, maybe close to 2,000 videos, and I only have less than 100 and maybe 70, less than that up. My way, in a certain order. And before I get started, let me just say fair use commentary. This broadcast is for education, criticism, news reporting, and entertainment only. We simply ask that everyone who wants to participate and put messages or comments in the chat do so in a respectful manner. I'm going to ask the moderator if there is anything that you see different from that. Will you either put the person in timeout or simply block them? All right, so let me do this. We're going to pull this back. You see, a fireplace. I'm going to tell the story in my way. Mhm. There. All right. In my description tonight for this broadcast, I said it all began on a Thursday evening, July 16, 2016, when police were called and arrived to the scene of crime. What happened next? I'm going to take you through tonight part of the official police report. We're calling this part 1. We break it all down, give our detailed analysis and commentary on this series throughout these broadcasts. At the bottom, you see an email. It's unwinewithteddy@gmail.com. At some point, I may even open up the phone lines. Not tonight, but sometime. All right. We were told by others, I will just say that if we have the interrogations, the recordings, why haven't we released them? Why don't we just put them up and play them? Let everyone hear them for themselves. Nothing else. Just play them. The interrogation of those 3 individuals comes after, of course. We got to start from the beginning. We're not going to be rushed. We're not going to be pushed. And for those who are saying that don't let them beat us to releasing the tapes, don't worry. And for those of you, I understand this individual has offered $250 to have someone, once they get a response from the police department, they're trying to find the whereabouts of these DVDs. Knock yourself out. They're available, but they want them now. Go ahead, pay your money, send someone to find them, and see if you can beat us. Can you believe that? A challenge. I wanted to get that out of the way. We have them. And we're going to play them for free. So for those of you who want to pay someone to recover any money that they are going to be investing in the next day or 2 or 3, don't waste your money. It's part of this series. We're going to let you hear what the detectives said to the mother, Courtney, Danielle, and Larry. Don't waste your money. You'll get it here. The only thing it's going to cost you, give us a thumbs up. We'd like you to subscribe to this channel and our backup channel. So, I will end it right there. But it's just, looking back at these tapes and listening for myself. Wow. There's a lot I could say. But all of these videos are private. And they need to be released on the other channel. Again, just have not done it in a way so I can go through them to make sure. Those DVDs were obtained before and played before I released. There was this sense of urgency, wouldn't you say? a statement that was made, multiple statements. One of which I'm going to take this story and make it my own. There's something really, really important about it. What do you say? Someone would have had to physically go and pick those tapes up, pay for them, to outrun rather than go through FedEx or mail, to be able to obtain those within 2 days. That means there was someone close by that could drive there. And then they would have to get the tapes, have to either upload the tapes and transfer them to someone, right? Digital. Unless they pick them up. How would they get them in 2 days? Go there, pay for it. I wonder how they pay. They pay cash. I wonder do they accept payments in cash? You know, at a police station, records. Maybe. Cash is always king, isn't it? Let's see, you say, I wonder if they disclose that type of information, including the identity of the buyer. I guess it would depend if it was a civil or criminal case. And it would depend process. Biggest bear hugs go out to each of the Grizzlies. Please hit the like on your way out. Join me from time to time. But that's it for me. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I'm Teddy. Good night.